Today, we're counting down the rarest cards in Dokkan that you can no longer obtain. Starting with some rare cards you might actually have and going all the way up to the rarest cards in the game that you've probably never seen before. We'll even be using some of them. Starting with number 15, the April Fool's Girls, which released on April 1st of 2018. They gave us this card because of the new game mode teaser called Dokkan Battle, which was a dating simulator where you could hang out with the girls from Dragon Ball. Another obviously fun fact about them is that their attack, defense, and HP are when they released, and they're literally not usable. They don't have a leader skill, they don't have a super tech, they don't have teams, they have absolutely nothing. And even worse, because you can't add them to teams, you can't lock them up, so you could technically accidentally sell them, and that would suck. Number 14 on my list is this Android 18. She was a New Year's login bonus back on January 1st of 2018, and if you happen to miss out logging in that day, you just didn't get her. She does have an actual in-game specific sprite, which is so cool. Then if you take a look, she's got 3 links here, and something really cool about her is the fact that she was a support style unit, so her passive actually gives all allies key +1, attack and defense plus 20%, and she gets attack plus 8% per key sphere obtained. So this is not exclusive to just Fizz key spheres, this is any key sphere. So we're going to pick up those 8 key spheres here, then we'll just grab all these from her and we'll check, sorry, for him, and then we'll check out her super tech, which I actually don't remember what it was exactly. Oh, she does a destructo disc. That's actually pretty cool. And also just seeing her in that outfit, which is not normal. That's a very rare thing. I feel like she's one of the cooler cards on this entire list for me specifically. Number 13 is this AGL Super Saiyan Goku. So this is an interesting one because he was originally released as a base Goku during the first anniversary. And when he returned for Worldwide 2017, that's where he received his awakening into Super Saiyan Goku and was the last time that he was ever obtainable. So we've got him here. I went ahead and buffed him up with 2 Chila items. So we're going to be able to pick up every key sphere on the actual field, which is important because he gets attack and defense plus 10% per key sphere obtained. So he is a bit of a nuking style unit. I didn't put him on a nuking team by any means, just threw him on a team that could kind of sort of make sense. Will he survive this though is a really good question. He did technically. Oh my gosh, he's put up 3.2 million. Now, one more final fun fact about this guy before we move on is that when he's in his base state and when he first released, the rough translations for him, if you Google translated his name, which is like Monumental Hope, it actually translated to Big Ass Hope Goku, which was a very inside joke within the Dokkan community, but also pretty funny and one I thought we should mention here. There you go. That is a strike of gratitude and respect. Super Saiyan Goku, who has not been obtainable since the 2017 Worldwide Celebration. Number 12 is the STR Cybermen, which came out on April 1st of 2017 for April Fool's Day. Now, this card, similarly to the April Fool's Day Girls, was inspired by a teaser for a new mode called Sci-Fi Battle. And a fun fact about this one is that their leader ability is all types attack and defense plus 3181, because I guess 3181 in Japanese sounds really similar to Saibai. So we have them as beefed up as basically as they can be here. They are another one that can get a super off pretty easily. So their actual full name is Mass Produced Soldier. Their kit is cause immense damage to enemy while sacrificing 10% HP, and their passive is attack and defense plus 81% only once when facing 3 or less enemies. Now then, Cybermen, 271%. Another thing to remember, a lot of these characters came out when the attribute system wasn't thriving, so people fed these characters as fodder. So I don't believe they gave us multiple of this, so there was never a chance to actually make them be a Rainbow Star character. Coming in at number 11 is this Tech First Form Frieza. He was a New Year's login bonus on JP and released on January 1st of 2017. And then on Global, he was a login gift when Prime Battle Frieza released on June 5th of 2017. And that was the last time you were able to get this character. Now, to take a look at him actually in game, he is Joy of Destruction, First Form Frieza. His super attack has caused extreme damage to the enemy. Here we go with 260,000. His passive is attack plus 10,000 at the start of battle, once only. Number 10 is Tech Final Form Frieza, the Horror from Hell unit. That is actually a very unique one. First, because he's one of the few summonable characters on this list. And secondly, because he was the first SSR ever to get an awakening in Dokkan. And at the time, Transcended UR didn't exist. So he was an SSR that you obviously awakened into a UR. Then you had to feed in the medals from the event that would then take him back down to an SSR Golden Frieza. This character used to be just in the general pool full of SSRs. He obviously hasn't been featured on a banner in an incredibly long time, in over 6 years. He's a character that literally just awakens back into an SSR, and that doesn't really make sense for today's era of cards. So until they decide to fix that or change that, he is likely never going to come back. But with most things in Dokkan, I guess never say never, right? And here he is in game. Another aspect of what made him so rare. Most people would want to make the actual Dokkan Awaken be a thing, and I know me included, but for the sake of the fact that you couldn't get him anymore, I never did it. And I also thought it was just so weird that he would awaken into an SSR. So that's another layer, is that if you got him and you awakened him into his Golden Frieza form, you can't reverse him because he awakens into an SSR. And then another layer on top of that is the fact that the majority of time that he was even available in the game, it wasn't GSSR. So even if you were summoning, there was a high chance that you would never see him. Now, I did actually pop a Whis before this. He has a standard, basic, old school death ball, but there's some charm to it. But that right there is a summonable unit, no longer obtainable. Horror from Hell, Frieza. Coming in at number 9 is our first group of units, and that is going to be the Arale collaboration units. I didn't feel like splitting these out and giving these their own individual number because they all came out at the same time. Now, it is worth noting that 2 Arale characters are still obtainable via using keys and getting them through free-to-play means, but those are the only 2. We have this Intelligence Arale character, which was given out as a login bonus and, of course, is no longer obtainable. And then all of the summonable characters that were available on the banner that you could get through summoning, that, of course, are no longer available as well. And a fun fact of the Arale cards and why myself didn't worry too much about getting them is they came back a few times on JP. So they actually initially launched on November 1st of 2016 on JP. They then would come back just a month later on December 5th of 2016. And that's when they would receive their awakenings, the ones that would actually awaken. And then eventually we saw them also on Global on May 11th of 2017. But after then, they have never returned. And this is one of those that I do imagine we will never see return again. But as I just said with Frieza, never say never. And one last little fun fact for you, Arale is one of the few characters in the game that actually has a TUR of every single typing. Okay, so here are all of the collaboration characters that I have. So I have the Intelligence Arale that you actually got from logging in, the AGL Arale that took forever to awaken. They dropped her awakening medals so slowly. Of course, the actual semi Dokkan Fest physical Arale, the best one of the batch. And then the Obachamon, I believe is how you say his name here as well. So these are the only 4 of the currently non-attainable ones that I personally have. We're in LGE, no items live. Let's see if those 2 can survive and we can continue on. I've not seen this in a long, oh, okay, yeah, I've not seen this in a long time. Oh, it's got the cool effects. Okay, that's that's pretty sick. I don't know if I've ever really used that unit either. I didn't realize that they had those style effects in their super attacks. That's actually really, really cool. So coming up next, we now have the AGL one. Let's see if she looks any different from the other. Then we will wrap it up taking a look at the Intelligence one, the free-to-play one that was a login bonus that we talked about. Taking surprising little damage. Is she going? Oh, she's got kind of a different one. Dude, for that, like, old of a super attack, she actually has some unique super attack. I would love to have these come back. They returned, so it really gave me, and I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of fake out, the fact that they released and then they came back and so forth. So I personally didn't try to get all of them for my collection. And also at the time, I was much tamer when I would spin. So let's take a look at this Intelligence one here. So yeah, it just wasn't something that I truly hard focused. No way does she sling, and she also attacks down. She slings the poo. That is amazing. All right, anyway, there are the Arale collaboration units that I specifically have and everything that they had to offer. They're such cool, unique time capsule units. Coming in at number 8 is one of my personal favorite units on this entire list, and that is this STR Bye Guys Goku. That was obtainable through a One Piece collaboration, which besides Sandland, which is yet another Akira project, so I don't really count it, this One Piece collab is the only non-Dragon Ball collaboration in the history of Dokkan and has never been done since. And another unique thing about this character is that when it released on JP, which was all the way back on September 14th of 2015, it released as an SR. However, when it came out on Global over a year later, on October 27th of 2016, it actually dropped as an SSR. So I remember at the time, everyone was saying, farm this up, because that was back in the day when Elder Kais were not common. SA10ing your units was a whole thing. And so the fact that we had a Super Saiyan Goku that dropped as an SSR, farm him up, and you can awaken him to a UR and feed him in for a really high SA chance, was crazy, and at the time was a massive global W because he dropped as an SSR instead of an SR. Okay, so we've got this guy on an actual 200% leader team, so I'm gonna throw these guys up front because we are getting supered. So as you can see there, also he's not link level, but he is sharing all 5 links with this team, and he can also get supers off at 8 key, which is actually pretty cool. So let's go ahead, let's pick these up, let these guys go first. They should survive this. I'm not going to give this guy any items, so we'll see what happens here. We'll get to see a super attack. Should be a good time. Here we go. All right, so first up, Super Saiyan. Actually, this is a really good comparison to see this Goku. I honestly didn't even do this on purpose. I promise you. This was not technically on purpose. I just knew that they linked up really well. But a bit funny to have the instant transmission Goku with the last transmission free to play he's a UR. To me, when they're not transcended URs, I just call them SSRs. Like, that's just kind of how I feel. You know, they should be 180. Yeah, there you go. It's an old school, nice, good old unobtainable unit in Dokkan. Number 7 on my list is Physical Teen Gotenks. He was actually only ever available on the JP version of the game, and he was given out as a login bonus for the first ever Heroes collab back on September 16th, 2016. So as a login bonus, if you never joined in during that event, you just didn't get him. And just like every other character we mentioned here, he has never returned. Now, I will say, for those of you that are hopeful, I didn't think Tiansha would ever come back, but he did. And then he even got an EZA and an Awakening and all of that. So it is possible, but maybe just a little unlikely given how many Heroes celebrations we've had since, and he hasn't came back, so it might be just a little iffy. And here he is actually in game. He's only sharing 1 link with Vegeta, but it's not a big deal. It doesn't make too much difference with these characters. So what we're going to be looking at here with the super attack is the Burning Kamehameha, which causes extreme damage to the enemy. His passive, yeah, 242. It's still just cool to see these characters in action. You know what I mean? His passive here, will he survive? I do have a Wii slide, but will he survive? Yeah, he will. He's fine. Is Justice Approaches, which gives him Ki +2, attack at +5,000 when HP is 50% or above. So it is worth noting on my little rarity scale here, this is the last character that I personally have. That's just how rare the next characters we're looking at actually are. Number 6, we do have another group, bit of a smaller one here though, with Tech Master Roshi and STR Oob. They both came out on July 5th of 2015. Roshi was acquired by completing a mission during the first world tournament, also has an awakening in the buff Roshi. Oob was a reward from the first world tournament, and neither of these have returned ever since. Coming in at number 5 is this AGL SR Frieza and this rare Police Krillin. Both of these came out in April of 2015 and were obtainable from the Resurrection F countdown event that hasn't returned since. And obviously, given the fact that it was a countdown event, very unlikely we'll ever see these again, which does make me sad because it's the only Police Krillin in the game. Frieza SR, kind of whatever, but the Police Krillin, wish I had this one in my box. Number 4 is this Int Super Saiyan Blue Goku. He was actually the reward for the 10 million download celebration and was released on April 18th of 2015. Yet another one I really wish I had. Obviously, it would be a box trophy and a half. Number 3 is a pretty crazy one because it is another massive group of characters, and if any of you have any of these, please let me know or tag me on Twitter. This STR Zeno Trunks, this STR base Goku, then this AGL Beerus, this physical base Goku, and this Int First Form Frieza, as well as this physical Yard Rat Goku. So all of these came out in 2015 and were only obtainable through V-Jump codes in the magazine or through V-Jump events. Now, it is worth noting these are all just SRs besides the Yard Rat Goku. He's just a rare, but still incredibly rare cards nonetheless, and I actually don't have a single one of these. So number 2 is one I wasn't aware of prior to making this video, and that is this STR SR Super Saiyan Blue Goku, who wasn't obtainable through a V-Jump code and was actually obtainable through this Dragon Ball Super Starter Guide and was released on July 3rd of 2015. This one just has a very unique way to obtain him, and I do think you could see our number 3 slot of cards and our number 2 slot here being pretty interchangeable, but just the fact that it was from a Dragon Ball Super Starter Guide felt a little more rare to me than the V-Jump magazine. So that's what we had at number 2. Now, before we get to the rarest card in Dokkan history, I do just want to give a quick shout out to some of the random rares and SRs that we can't get anymore from strike events like SR Kibito or Rare Gohan or this physical SR Piccolo. These have either been replaced or since they were in the game for at least a while and obtainable from events that rotated. I didn't really want to place them on this list, but I just want to note that I was aware of these and there are more non-obtainable cards in the game than what I've even listed here. They just didn't quite make the cut for me. So here we go. The rarest card in the game, in my personal opinion is this Intelligence SR Trunks. I actually didn't even know he existed until just a couple of years ago, and the only way to obtain this unit was to pre-register for the game before it even came out. So of course, his release date is the launch day of the game, which would be January 30th of 2015, making him the oldest card on this list and by far the hardest card on this list to obtain. And if you're still looking for some more good rare goodness in Dokkan form, I know you're gonna love this, so click right there and I'll see you all over there in that one. Bye.